Hello and welcome to the Kimbley IT Podcast, episode 79, with myself, James Kimbley, the founder, Carl Heath, the co-founder, and today we're in the presence of Chloe Waight of Lodestar Accounting. How are you doing, Chloe?
I'm good, thanks, James. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. So Chloe is the founder of Lodestar Accounting, and they're actually clients of us, and we're clients of you.
Yeah.
And you're accountants too. So it works out well. And it's about, I was thinking this morning, I haven't checked it out exactly, but I think it's about 2 years that you've been partnered with us as your IT support. It might even be slightly longer than 2 years.
I think it's longer than that. I think it's probably 3.5, something like that.
Because originally we met because you were an employee at another accountancy firm that we looked after the IT support for, and then you went off to set your own up. How long ago was that? Because that would be roughly how long you've been with us.
Well, it was actually set up in September 16. And I think I partnered with you pretty quickly after I set up, because I was like, I need someone to help with the IT side of things. So I think it was probably around then.
You've been partnered with Kimbley IT longer than Carl has.
Yeah.
2018 for Carl, 2016 or whenever, something like that for yourself. So what have you been up to in the last fortnight, Chloe? Anything? What's been going on at your business?
Well, it's been quite busy, really. I mean, it's always quite busy. Always a lot going on. For us internally, we've kind of had a really exciting partnership with a new software called Reducer, which links in with Xero and looks at clients' spend in certain areas to see if they can save them money. So things like, it's a bit like Go Compare, but for a business. So it looks at utilities, mobile phone usage, that sort of thing. They've got some specialists and they've got connections within those different areas, and they can look at saving people money. So that's been a really good partnership that's happened over the last couple of weeks. So we've managed to come out with quite a few clients actually that they've found savings for, which is always nice.
That's good stuff. What was the name of that service?
Reducer.
Is that plugs into Xero and all the other software?
Yes, it's kind of half and half. So it's half automated, it's connected to Xero, but then they have got specialists within their team as well that look at the bills and things to work out if they can save money, because ultimately the companies make it really hard to compare prices for a lot of these services. So business owners just don't seem to have the time to do it.
That's super. I look forward it to roll out to us so we can have a go on it.
Hopefully we'll find some savings.
Yes, that'd be nice. That'd be good. What about you, Carl? What have you been up to last fortnight?
I have been moving data.
Are you doing the transfer at the moment?
No, I'm not doing the transfer at the moment. No.
Good. Just checking.
I have been moving a lot of data, but I've actually come up against something this morning that's irked me in the accountancy industry, and it's to do with the app TaxCalc this morning. And it would appear that if you run TaxCalc and you want to export a computation to an XLS file and you use Google Workspace, you can't do that because TaxCalc demands that you have Microsoft Office installed on your computer. And I've tried to hack around it this morning with a few ways and pieces, but it would appear that you have to have Microsoft Office 2010 or higher as well. Office 365 not supported. So TaxCalc, I've tweeted you, you're in the dark ages. They need to up their game. Not good enough. Not good enough.
You've also had a new client come on board as well, Claire. I just noticed it in the show notes that you mentioned it there, and I skipped it.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry. I was just going to jump in on the TaxCalc thing because I've got a bit of a affair with them too. So we wanted to move. I mean, we've spoken to you recently about new computer equipment for the team, and we really wanted to use Chromebooks, didn't we? But we can't because of TaxCalc, because their cloud solution isn't cloud.
No, their cloud solution isn't cloud.
I love it as a piece of accounts production software. It's great in that respect, but it's just a bit annoying that we're having to revert back to non-Chromebooks for one particular piece of kit.
Is it pure Windows that it works on as well? Do they have a Mac version, Carl, or is it just Windows?
It does have a partial support for Apple Mac as well, yeah. I would suggest it may be a great piece of accountancy software, but whoever's developing this has stopped developing and started collecting profit. Right. And TaxCalc can come back and tell me if I'm wrong about that, but my suspicion is when you've cornered the market and you've got one of the best products, people get complacent and lazy fast and don't develop their apps. We see it in other industries. We've got one in the body shop industry where there's a great app. I reckon it was probably written 15 years ago, maybe more, and it's not really changed in that time because they don't need to. And now it's actually so far behind.
15 years is a bit kind. It seems a lot older than that.
Yeah, it probably is 20 years. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Oh.
So tell us about your new clients you've got there, Chloe.
Yes, so we have recently taken on our first virtual FD client, which is really exciting for Lodestar. Advisory is kind of the hit word within accountancy at the moment. It's being thrown around a lot. Clients are going kind of doing the statutory stuff for clients, the filing of accounts, the VAT returns, that side of things. But you've kind of got a lot of clients now looking at advisory roles. And we've recently put together this virtual finance director package, and we've got our first client on that. So that's been really exciting, working really closely with that client on building their business and growing it. And hopefully we'll have some more over the coming months.
So it's a new package, and you've got your first client signed up on that one.
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about for ages, and trying to put something together was really difficult. But yeah, we spoke to this client and said, look, they asked, are you offering something like this? And I said, look, I've been thinking about it for ages. What would you want? What would you need? And we kind of used that to build the package around it. So yeah, that's really exciting.
Brilliant, good stuff. And what's the supplier payments that you've got in there too?
Oh, that's a new-ish system that Xero and TransferWise have been have released. So using your bills awaiting payment in Xero, you can now put together a batch payment list to pay those suppliers, and use TransferWise connected to Xero to actually pay all of those suppliers in one go. That really speeds up the process of making payments, because I think that's a bugbear of quite a lot of businesses, when they've got all that data there in Xero, to not be able to just make the payments from there.
Sounds good. So you've had a busy fortnight getting all that stuff sorted.
Yeah.
It's always busy for accountants though, isn't it?
Yes. And then throw in all the rule changes and everything else that goes on.
So I've always wondered this. So you do all like the year-end tax returns and self-assessment terms for everybody. When does that kick off again? When does that start to get busy, or is it just pretty much all the time? Do you have like 1 month break and then it starts off again?
So company accounts are throughout the year, because every company will have a different year end. But personal tax, obviously, it all finishes at the end of 5th of April. So we're just coming to the end of the tax year now, and then we'll start sending information out to clients, asking for them to provide us with all their info, and we try and get them done as quickly as possible. But you always have a few stragglers.
Well, I'm trying to get quicker each year, and I've now got a folder in Google Drive that I just stick everything in there. So I'll share that with you at some point.
Yeah, that's great.
All the stuff in it.
It's really handy.
Going back to Kimbley IT then, Carl, we had a new client partner with us.
Yes, we have. Yeah, that's right.
Can you remember? You look like
they did a road for you outside your house.
Yes, I got them to do my drive, and now they're clients. Max Surfacing, which is a nationwide road repair company. So they have contracts with councils and things like that, and they're the guys that you'll see out on the road patching it up and doing stuff like that. It's top quality work that they did on my drive. And Mark is the owner. We've known Mark for quite a while, because he's connected with us on LinkedIn, and you've known him previously as well, haven't you, Carl? So you've already had a chat with him.
Systems for him in my previous business. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And now he's become a full-on client. So we've taken them over. They're all Chrome boxes and Chrome bases, which is good. So
yeah, it is.
There. It was interesting moving them across, because we couldn't move them across because Google was blocking it because of these Chrome enterprise licenses they had. And the weird thing there is you have to deprovision all the devices before you can move it from. So when you move your Google Workspace from one partner to another, or just grow with a partner, you have to give them a transfer token. You might remember that when you first came with us, Chloe, I had to get a transfer token off you, and then we enter that transfer token, and it transfers your Google Workspace into our management. So we were doing this with Max Surfacing, but it kept getting rejected every time. I was like, what's going on here? So I had to contact Google support, and it took them about a day to work it out. and then they realized it's because he has these Chrome enterprise licenses on his Chromebooks. So this gives you like added management. What's the word I'm trying to say, Carl?
The management.
Added management functions for Chrome boxes and Chrome OSs with this enterprise license. But it turns out when you move a partner, they don't automatically transfer. You've got to deprovision all the Chrome boxes, Chrome bases, and Chromebooks, and then it moves across, and then you have to reprovision everything, which means factory resetting everything and getting people signed back in. So it's kind of weird, but that's what was rejecting it. But we finally got them moved across, and they're now live and all up and running.
Yeah, it's interesting because they'd used Google Workspace for many years. Mark was a big fan of it. However, we've already started ringing in the changes and showing people new things that they can do in Google Workspace, which goes to highlight how much cloud systems adapt and change. That Mark was not aware of lots of different settings, which is exactly why we're in to do this work, so he can focus on his business and we focus on the bits that we know for him. So it's been good, and I think that whole company's going to have a great experience as they start to get more up to speed with it.
And typically, the only problem we've had so far is printers. You always have problems with printers, and that's because they've got their printers have a management bit of software on it, which currently isn't. There isn't a cloud equivalent to it from the provider anyway that's providing it. It's running on an old server there, which was playing up, and it sort of fixed itself, and everyone can print now. But that's going to have to be changed. And we have actually found a cloud-based print management solution that we're going to plan to move them across at some point from a old-fashioned, horrible server-based bit of software that no one can stand. So how's your data migration going with the client that we spoke about 2 weeks ago, Carl? You were still migrating data 2 weeks ago for this other new client. It's an accountancy firm, by the way, Chloe.
Yeah, it goes to show how long it takes still today to move data around. I mean, they had probably 2 terabytes worth of data, which is quite a lot of data. A lot of it was photographs and movies and things like that because of the nature of some aspects of what they do. And it'd be good to see, I've put in the news later on that there is Gigabit Broadband rolling out in certain parts of the UK. And we really need that because I'm running here Virgin at home. I've got the 100 meg connection, James. So I haven't got the full on, I haven't got the most I could get out of Virgin. I've got the 100 meg. But it's still taken me weeks to download and upload this data. So, to moving it around just takes a lot of time still. But if we move towards gigabit connections, it's going to make these things a whole lot easier to do. And there's no doubt it's needed because you just need to have a look at someone's photo collection now. And it's immense. If you do photo and video stuff, you'll have a lot of data. Yeah,
and 100 meg is normally enough, but this is like unique and it's such a massive amount of data that you're migrating across 100 megabyte connection isn't quick enough.
And I can't always control where it's coming. The download speed and the upload speed are controlled by the backup system and by Google. So, I can't always control it. And I have to stop. If I leave the full throttle on while we're doing a video call, you tell me you can't see me. So I have to stop and start as well.
Yeah, you pixelate and you freeze.
Yeah.
So we've got another accounting firm actually moving to Google Voice because you're on Google Voice already, Chloe.
Yeah, we use Google Voice.
How are you finding it? Love it.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, to be honest, we don't have many phone calls, like in or out, but it's great because our team are based all over the UK. So it's just great that we can all use the same software from the laptops that we've already got set up or our phones if we've got the app installed. And each of the team have got their own number and we've kind of got that nice menu set up, as you call it.
Yeah, yep.
So it's all, the functionality is brilliant on it.
So we're finding it quite popular with accountancy firms, and another one of our clients, an accountancy firm, Indigo Green, based over in Herefordshire. Yeah. They're just moving to Google Voice as well now. Great. As their main one. They I don't know if you've seen them on LinkedIn, but they recently built a new office. So I don't know if Andy owns a farm or something, but he seems to have a lot of land, and he's built an office on there, and he's sort of forgotten about the phones and moving it across. So we got Google Voice set up for him instantaneously because it's an instant service that can be put live. And he's just got his current number redirected to Google Voice, and they've got a menu system as well, and that number will get ported in at some point. But they seem to be enjoying Google Voice as well, and just so simple to use and
that's the no-brainer of it. because I reckon Andy will have looked at it and gone, okay, right. And someone's gone, right, can I come out and do a site survey and agree a contract with you? And how many handsets do you need to buy and what services? And then he's gone, I could ring James. What do I do for Google Voice? You can have it now. It's a no-brainer. You just do it. Yeah. It's so easy to do.
I find some of the voicemail conversions quite comical, though.
Yeah, that's just that is. I find that really weird because of how junk the voicemail to text transcription is. But then if you go on something like this that we're recording the podcast on Google Meet and you turn on captions, it's spot on. So it's like, why can't the Google Voice guys say, can we just use your voice to text engine, please, and do some proper transcribing, because it's just nuts.
Yeah.
So I had that funny one from Google Support where the guy was calling me babe and asking me to talk to him in French or something like that. So.
They do come up with some funny things in there sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, very much so. So let's go on to our recap of new content. So Chloe, in this section we talk about any content that your company might put out, maybe blog posts, images, infograms, stuff that you think are valuable for people that might want to go and view it and see it. And I see you've got something put in there, a summary of budget and Insta bite-sized posts. So tell us all about it.
Yeah, so this month, obviously, we had the budget, much anticipated. So that's kind of taken over our social media and content for this month so far. We did our initial notes. So I sat there when it was being announced and scribbled loads of things down on bits of paper and literally just photographed those and put those on social media to start with, just to say, here's what we've got at the moment. And then we went away and did some more content, a bit more structured. And so there's a page on the website now that's got a summary of all of the different budget announcements. And then we've also taken each announcement and put them as a kind of bite-sized post on Instagram. Just make it a bit easier to digest for clients.
Because you guys are most active on Instagram, aren't you, from what I see? Is that your main platform?
Yeah, so I mean, half of our client base is e-commerce businesses, so I kind of feel like Instagram's a really good place for us to put information. Generally, e-commerce businesses will be using Instagram. So yeah, we're quite active on there. We need to start getting a bit better on things like LinkedIn and other platforms, but yeah, I'm just trying to do one well at the moment. So then not very well.
It's Lodestar Accounting on Instagram, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, we're kind of like in the reverse in that LinkedIn is like our main one, but Instagram is kind of gets forgotten about. Every so often we post something on it. But yeah, LinkedIn for us is where we do our stuff. Yeah,
and that's really good, I think, for you guys as well. Aiming at businesses, it's sensible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It seems to work out well anyway. We've got some leads from that. Content wise for us, we stuck on a video of how to turn on offline mode in Google Calendar. That's a new feature that came out.
Yeah.
Done a blog post about how to pause. So on your Android phone, you have depending on how you set it up, you can set up a work profile on there. So you've got your personal profile and your work profile, and the two data is kept completely separate. So say, for example, if someone lost a phone, we could send her a wipe command to the phone. It would only wipe their work data, or if they left the company, only wipe their work data and not touch their personal data. But you can also set up a schedule now on Android so that your work profile turns off at certain times. So you can get it so it follows your Google Calendar and things like that. So you could have it so that every day at 5 p.m, turn off my work profile and don't turn it back on till 7 a.m. So it won't connect, it won't do it, it won't download any information, it won't send you any notifications, none of the apps will function for you. It'll just be paused, and likewise at the weekend. And it's all a part of Google's well-being initiative to get people to be able to separate work and have free time rather than having their phone ping during the weekend or something like that.
That's really clever.
So that's the post about that. Updated another post called Find a Time in Google Calendar, and this is where you can enter another contact's name and it will tell you if they're available that time. So it makes it a lot easier to schedule because it will overlay their calendar on top of your calendar. So it's really only good for internal stuff. If you're going to do external, we still recommend using something like Jamelius or Calendly to publish a calendar for external, but internal it works well. And then the final one was a little hidden feature in Google Docs, Sheets and Slides that you can click on to see if someone has actually viewed the document that you've sent them, and when they viewed it. It only works if they've got a Google account. If you send it with somebody, a link that anyone can use to access, it won't tell you. But if you were doing it internally, Chloe, and you sent it to someone in your team, you can actually click on the this icon in the top right hand corner, and it'll tell you if they viewed it and what day they viewed it on. So you can
that's
actually
really good
double
as
check
well.
things like that. So that's just the content we've stuck out this week. So let's move on to the news section, and should we kick it off with the let's kick it off with yours, Chloe. The is it a disastrous rebrand from Receipt Bank to Dext?
Wasn't very well communicated, let's put it that way.
I heard it was just on the day. No, they'd done no pre-communication at all. It was just on the day.
No, yeah, they didn't pre-warn any of the partners, any of the accountants. I found out because a client sent me an email saying, "Is this actually from Receipt Bank, or have they been hacked, or what?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Dext, who is now the new name for Receipt Bank, then sent out an email to all partners afterwards saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry, it was a technical issue. We meant to send you information in advance of the rebrand."
Rubbish.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Which idiots? What idiots come up with this? What sort of people do this for a living? Probably paid a load of money.
The worst rebrand of all time is like, what does Dext mean? It means nothing at all.
Oh, do you know? So apparently it's to do with dexterity. That's where they said the name has come from.
They put two words together, and only the T is from the second word.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
It's so funny. And then someone had put on LinkedIn that if you search it on the Urban Dictionary, it's to do with drunk texting. So it's the word for drunk texting. So yeah, it wasn't the best and the most well-received rebrand that I've seen.
Haven't they also done something silly where you'll probably have to tell us at some point, all clients, we've got to change the email address that we have to send stuff to as well, because they're not even remapping the existing email addresses.
No. So everyone will have their own email in address for Receipt Bank, which is at receiptbank.co.uk or something along those lines. It's changing to at Dext, so everyone's got to update their contacts. They are supporting the at Receipt Bank ones for 2 years, they've said, but it's still not great.
It's just there's like just the worst rebrand of all time. Because I remember I came in and there's an email from something called Dext. What the hell is that? I'm just going to report spam.
It was awful. Yeah. And then I'd booked into a webinar that they'd put on the day that the rebrand happened, but it didn't say in advance that it was anything to do with the rebrand. So I then watched this webinar, and they left their microphones on during one of the breaks, and someone swore, and I was like, what is going on?
Is it
been horrendous.
What size is the team at Receipt Bank? Is it a decent sized team, or is it small?
Yeah, to my knowledge, it's a decent sized team. Yeah. So
the CEO is the ex-chief operating officer of Just Eat. So Adrian Blair, what are you doing? Ridiculous. Get your game together. And Daryl Bauman, chief marketing officer. Shame.
Maybe ex-marketing officer shortly.
Yeah.
I like the look of the chief technology officer though, Stefan Kanev. He's got a bang on beard. Have a look at him. He's cracking. He's got a cracking beard, James.
Yeah, it's crazy rebrand. That's a case study of not how to rebrand your product.
Yeah,
it certainly is. Get that on Business Wars.
Then we got we'll pop up to an app called Threadit.
Yeah.
So this is a new app made by Google. It's they've got an incubator called Area 120, and it's where teams go in there and incubate and build new products. And this one that's come out is one called Threadit, which is a bit like Loom, if you've ever used Loom. With Threadit, you can record quick how-to guides if you're facing the corner and what you're seeing on your screen, or however you want to do it. The main difference, I think, with Threadit is that, based on the name, it threads the videos together. So, for example, you can have steps down the left-hand side, step 1, step 2, and have your videos threaded together. But also, if someone were to reply back to your Threadit, they can reply back via video, and it puts it into the thread as well. A bit like conversational view in Gmail, how it shows you the whole conversation of how that email took place, who started it, the conversations in between, and how it ended, and that's what Threadit does as well. And it looks really good. It's still got a extension for Chrome that plugs it into Gmail. So when you hit compose on an email, you can actually insert the video directly into your email and send it off. So we're actually going to use it for some support things. So if you ever come up to us, Chloe, with something, we can actually stick it into Google Chat as well, and just do a quick video and stick the link in there for you to watch it, rather than having to write backwards and forwards the steps that you need to do.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We've been using Loom recently for similar sorts of things internally and externally, so we might look at starting to use the Threadit rather than Loom.
Yeah, it's Threadit.app, and I'm hoping that at some point it gets integrated natively into Google Workspace as part of the products there, because there's another product called Tables as well that was made by Area 21, and hopefully that also gets integrated into Google Workspace at some point. But the interesting thing with Threadit is they released it last week, and then the following day, anyone who'd installed the app, it was starting to request to change your homepage on Google Chrome to the Threadit homepage. So yeah, it was just a permission that it wanted, and if you denied that permission, you couldn't use the app. And I was thinking, what the hell are they doing here? They've got a great app here, and they've gone and done some stupid permission like this on it. So I actually emailed their tech support at Google, and they didn't realize they've got that permission on the extension. It was an error, so they've now removed that permission, so it works. So you don't need to change your homepage anymore. But if they had done that, that would have been a proper nuisance car, having Threadit as your homepage just to use an app.
Yeah, I remember when that originally was noticed by you, and you didn't quite go nuclear, but you were certainly apoplectic about it. He was livid. He was effing and jeffing at me on the chat about this. And you were right, James. You're absolutely right. It's not acceptable in any way to do that. However, when you contacted them, they were really apologetic and went, that's not what it's supposed to do at all. No.
Yeah. They didn't know what had gone on with their extension, so they went and resubmitted it to the Chrome Web Store without that permission being requested. Following story is again to do with Chrome, but this is a big one, isn't it, Carl? I'll let you take over on this one, about the new captioning system built in.
Yes, this is something I knew was sort of coming, which is live captioning. Like live captioning you get in Google Meet, as it's doing it, it does it. And it turned up in my YouTube the other day. I was watching YouTube, but I had the sound off, and I was, hang on, there's captions on the screen. These are really good. And then I started noticing it more and more. And what it means now is anything you watch in Chrome that's a video, it will live caption it for you in subtitles if you switch that feature on, which means in LinkedIn, the video gets played. And the good thing about that, I guess, is a lot of us sometimes have got our children around, and we don't always want to have the volume on when someone sends us a meme or watching a video. We don't want them to come in and go, what are you watching? And you can have the subtitles. And James and I have been playing around with it. And did you notice, James, it listens to anything, doesn't it? It's like it picks up anything.
So it's the same captioning system they use on the Pixel phone, so it will caption any video that you come across or any audio that you listen to. But I noticed it when I was having a Google Voice call with Kyle through Gmail, through the Google Voice down the right hand side, that it was captioning Kyle as he was talking back to me, so it was running the caption stuff on the screen. And the weird thing is, it was spot on, and they need to use that again for the Google Voice voicemail transcription. It was spot on. But it's so if you like on LinkedIn or if you're on Facebook, and if you've got it turned on and you scroll down, it now have the videos autoplay. Well, it will just automatically put the captions on, even if you've got the sound turned off or the video set to mute. It will just put the captions on there. So it's actually it's an accessibility feature. So it's not turned on by default. But if you go into Google Chrome settings, and if you're running the latest version of Google Chrome, there'll be a live captioning option there. And if you turn it on, then you'll always get captions whenever it detects any audio coming from anything, and it's really good, and it's pretty useful, to be fair.
That's so clever. Really,
yeah,
it's better than the YouTube automated captions that you see on YouTube videos. It's really good. The other thing is it does all the processing on your computer. It's not sending anything to Google's data centers to do the processing, so it's all done locally inside Google Chrome, just like it is on the Pixel phone. So you're not sharing what you're watching with Google's data centers. It's just on your computer.
So I would imagine now, if I was the CEO of Rev.com, I'd be pretty much worried. That's the transcript everybody was using as a transcript organization. That's just going to die now. No one's going to need to transcript or subcaption their videos as long as you're using Chrome or you're using Pixel phone.
Yeah, I guess it depends though, if you want the captions embedded in the video and you want to sort of brand them with your font and stuff like that, because otherwise otherwise you've got the generic one that's just appearing from Google Chrome, automated listening. And while it's good, it's not 100% spot on. As
I'd say if I'm running a big corporate, I agree. I'll pay to have it done. However, if I'm running my small business or I'm looking to get up and running and get started, that's a hell of a lot of time and cost has just been saved if I can get people to do that. It's a nice little handy feature for that reason. You're right, James. It's not as neat and tidy, and it's not as accurate as perfect subtitles.
And it's not.
You know what? It gets the gist in there.
And it's not on by default either. You've got to go and turn it on. Once you've turned it on, it's there until you hit the cross button. Now I've hit the cross button now, and I haven't got it turned. It hasn't reappeared on my Chrome, so I don't know if I have to go back into accessibility and then reset it. I don't know if that turns it off. I need to check that out completely. But give it a go, Chloe. I think you'll enjoy that.
I definitely will. Turn that one on.
So before we started the podcast, Chloe was a bit nervous that she might get some notifications coming in while she was chatting. So here's a good one for you. Google Calendar's desktop notifications now have a snooze button. So if a notification were to come in, you could hit snooze and it will snooze it away for a period of time and before it reappears.
Brilliant. I love the snooze feature in Gmail. That's like brilliant for me.
You snooze all your emails though?
No, not all of them.
One way to get to inbox zero for one day anyway.
True.
Yeah, it's cheating.
But I don't know why it's taken them such a long time to bring out this desktop notification snooze button for Google Calendar, because before it was just a notification. If you closed it, that was it. You never see it again. But now you can snooze it for 5 minutes and it will reappear. You can keep snoozing it until the actual set time of the event that I found. So if you say you've got something starting at 11 a.m. and you've got your notification set to go off 20 minutes beforehand, or how many minutes beforehand, you can hit the snooze button for 5 minutes right up till 11 a.m. and then after the event officially starts, it doesn't seem to have the option to snooze again after that. So it's like, you really probably should do it now because you've been putting it off for such a long time. This is the next story is relevant to all of us. It's a BBC one, and it's about the UK heading towards a digital skills shortage disaster. So the number of young people taking IT subjects at GCSE level has dropped to 40% since 2015, and 70%. And then it goes on to say that 70% of young people expect employees to invest in teaching and digital skills on the job, but only half employees surveyed do this. So it's all about training. We're actually seeing it a bit because we have so many end users that we look after. It's we have come across a few young people now who just really haven't got a clue how to do computing. There was one that's now been released from their employment that we had some trouble with last year, and they literally had no computer skills, and this person was in their 20s, and it's like, seriously, you can't do simple stuff like that? I've always found that it's people who were born before computers were everywhere. They've always struggled with computers because they didn't have them when they were younger in their childhood and in their younger years to experiment and try out with them. But all of us have basically had computers since we were born, and all our kids have had them since they were born, and they can just use them all the time. Carl's shaking because it was black and white, the world was when Carl was born, before colour was invented.
There was no electricity when I was born, mate.
Candles. But then you get young people now who've definitely had computers their whole life and had experience with it, and they just can't do it. And it's weird.
That really surprises me. Like, my daughter's 10 and she does coding at primary school.
Yeah, she's going to be in the money when she's grown up.
I wonder if it's the GCSE. Is the GCSE content maybe not the right content anymore?
Oh yeah, I would think that's it, Chloe. I mean, schools have always they've always been behind because of the fact that someone's got to approve a curriculum and then get it done. Yeah. And it's like bureaucracy, it's like law. So schooling is way behind on technology. I don't think that IT is seen as anything cool still. It's still super nerdy and not seen as a career of aspiration for anybody, male or female. A lot of young people use apps. I think they're coming to a generation now where you just pick up this phone and it just magically works, which it does, and no one's got any idea of actually what's required at the back end. However, this BBC article suggests that young people aren't coding and stuff, which is fine if you want a career in that. What James and I see in the workplace is people who simply cannot use a computer, simply have no idea of how to use Windows operating system, to the point of, where do you save the file? Don't know. No idea. Don't know what it is. What's a file? No idea. So they're clearly not being taught this. But I do think some employees have got a point in saying that employers don't generally provide much IT skill training at all. It's kind of assumed. I saw my girlfriend at the moment is looking for work, and she'll see a high level of digital skills required. Must be able to use Microsoft Office and Word. Wow. That's from a Formula One team, that, James. That was from a Formula One team. And you're like, Luddites, what is going on in the world? Employers got to up their game and say, you've got to be able to use these systems, these cloud-based systems, and understand this stuff, because otherwise there's no competition down on the employees to up their game, and everybody falls behind.
It's also in the interview process, no one ever asks tech questions, and therefore they hire somebody who doesn't know how to computer because they haven't asked them if they can use it. And it's not even it's not things like that. It's asking them if they you need to ask questions like, do you use Facebook? Do you share photos and stuff like that? Because then they have a concept and idea of sharing data, and rather than sharing attachments, they'll understand, oh, Google Drive, it's like sharing a picture. If I stick the file in there, I then select the people I want to share it with, and it goes out that way. And it's asking these more meaningful questions rather than, do you know how to use Microsoft Word?
As an employer, I've recently gone through quite a bit of employment. Our team's grown quite quickly, and I've really struggled with this. We've got some of the team and some people that have joined us and then left that have struggled with IT, like you say. But on their CV, it said that they had a good level of IT skills. But as a small employer, it's quite time consuming to go through an employment process anyway, to look at the CVs and do the interviews. And then it's also really hard to know how to test those things. Like, we do our interviewing remotely because we're a remote practice. So we do it via Google Meet. So that kind of gives me an indication of, can they get on a video call? Yep. That's kind of step one.
Can they get their webcam working?
Yeah, can they do the sound? Can they do the webcam? And that sort of thing. But then failing that, I struggle with how to test those skills as an employer.
Well, it's always interesting because employing somebody, you're basically giving them money to do a job, but everyone needs to be able to use a computer to do that job. So if the person can't use the computer, they're quite happily taking their monthly wage from you for only being able to do maybe like less than 20% of what they're contracted to do because they can't use a computer. Yeah. So that's why I find it interesting when business owners don't spend time to also learn about the technology so that they know what to ask and understand it, because in the end it's their money that they're giving away to these people who can't do the job.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in bigger companies. I've been in a proposal for Google Workspace to a company that 150 million turnover manufacturing company, and the board didn't understand what I was talking about, and the financial director said, how much does it cost? And I was just like, forget about it. I was just like, there's no point. I even said to the FD, I said, if that's the question you're going to ask me, then we should just stop now, because this is pointless, because you don't understand technology and you're not going to be able to take advantage of it. And yeah, it's everyone's got to up their game, and nobody wants to do it. It's like you've got to learn about this stuff. And I guess the question is how, I suppose, for people, how to make it easy for them to understand, which is what we try and do a bit of, but it is still super techy a lot of the time. It is difficult.
Because the other part of that article was also that 70% of young people expect their employees to invest in essentially training on technology. That doesn't happen. We know that from all our clients, that training is like put right to the back. It's not until somebody who's really there's no other choices left, then they'll opt for training. They just and it's kind of weird because with cloud services like Xero, Dext, Google Workspace, they're always changing and getting new features added all the time. So having like ongoing training seems to make sense, because even people who've been there for a while won't know about all the new features. Google Workspace is a great example, because probably people only use like 10% of what's there just because they don't get themselves trained up on how to do it. So we have one client who's really quite disorganized, and they could be a lot more effective if they paid for some training so their guys fully understood, but they just hold off on the training. Don't want to cash out on it for some reason.
It's silly, isn't it? Because it's about efficiency, and if you're using the tools within Google to maximize your efficiency and collaboration and that side of things, then you're going to get more out of your team. So if you invest the time and the money training them to start with, then you get that returned, don't you?
Yeah. But your daughter's going to be super over anyway now. She's doing coding. She'll be okay. And that's where the money is. That's where that's where the shortage is as well, in people doing coding and high-end computer technologies like that?
I was really shocked when she came home. She's like, oh, it was when we were homeschooling, and they said, oh, ICT, you've got to do your coding on Purple Mash. It's like a website that the kids use to do all different training. And I was like, you're doing coding? And she showed me, and she's like, yeah, we've got to build this game and use coding to build the game. It just amazed me.
I look forward to the day.
Great.
I look forward to the day, Chloe, when you give me a call and say, James, we're going to have to leave you because Waight IT Support Solutions has been set up.
No, she's already got her business planned out. She knows what she's doing. She's had a business plan for about 3 years.
Oh, super. Good news. Good news.
Little entrepreneur.
Is that in the IT world? Just so I can be
no,
prepared.
Unfortunately not. No.
Oh, okay. That's good then. Good for us.
No competition.
Yeah. Well, the only competition we're going to have is going to be a kid in their bedroom who's done something awesome and then comes out of nowhere with a great IT support service.
Yeah. Be hard to beat, though.
Thank you. We're going to record that and stick that out everywhere.
That's the tagline there.
Yep. Next one, I think, is yours, Kyle, and then we've got one more from Chloe. Yours is the Gigabit Broadband.
Yeah, I briefly mentioned earlier on that BT are starting to roll out Gigabit Broadband now. So most people at home have got broadband that's somewhere between 30 and 60 megabytes of speed. Then if you've got Virgin, you might have 100 or 200 megabytes of speed. And a gigabit will give you 1,000 megabytes of speed. Significantly fast. The sort of speeds that they've had in South Korea for a long, long time that have enabled that country to become a massive technology powerhouse in what it does. Starting in some areas that include us, Shropshire and Worcestershire are on rollout number 2. So I will be interested to see when that's available. But it's just good to see because the speed of everything that we're doing online in this new world of where we're doing so many more video calls, we need this big fat pipe to push it all through, because it won't be long before we'll start congesting again on what we're doing right now. I mean, we've seen it this week. I can't shift this data and have a video call with James at the same time. And we need to be able to do that. And with this, you'll be able to do it. So I spotted this and thought, this is good news. I'm hoping that this will roll out successfully, and then we'll start to be able to buy this stuff at home, and we'll be offered gigabit connections into our houses pretty soon, which will just enable our country to transform. You could have everything at home connected to the internet without any issue whatsoever, and you will, I'm sure, once that kind of stuff's available.
It'll be good, because then I'll finally get a video footage from you that's not pixelated all over the place. Especially when you're waving your hand around.
James, never a kind word, Kimbley there.
So final story is making tax digital, links for VAT. So go for it, Chloe.
Yeah, I'll keep it relatively brief. Obviously, I could probably speak all day about making tax digital and the regime that HMRC are putting into place or trying to put into place. But yeah, they've got, so April 19, they made it mandatory for all VAT registered businesses with a turnover of over 85,000 to submit VAT returns electronically through the new portal that they'd built. And now from April 21, so coming up next month, they want all of your financial softwares to be connected automatically, so that all the data that goes into preparing that VAT return is transferred digitally rather than being copied and pasted or manually taken from one software and put into another one. So that's a big change. So yeah, from April 21, that's the plan. And then they're rolling out making tax digital to sole traders and landlords, and then ultimately corporation tax as well. But that's not until 2026.
Does that make life easier for you?
There's an upfront difficulty of getting them all connected and assess, because every client's different. So depending on what systems they use, the connections are all different, and it's whether those connections exist or whether something bespoke needs to be made to connect to the systems up. But ultimately, it should make things easier for the information to flow more quickly, and then real-time information at your fingertips.
So your industry is kind of becoming more technical, which again is back to technical skills. People needing how to do that, to set up the data flows and make sure that they can integrate the softwares together correctly.
Definitely. It's all about automating things at the moment, and understanding how the information can flow between systems.
Yeah. And I guess Zero and all that has that stuff built in. It's just a matter of entering some codes and connecting it that way.
Yeah, so Xero itself is fully compliant with the MTD system. It's if you use anything separate to Xero that you then you would need to look at connecting either manually.
It's going to be fun when you get the ones that have got custom software that was built 6 years ago and the developer is no longer alive or even adaptable anymore.
That's what I thought when you were talking about that software that was kind of 20 years old and they'd stopped developing it. I just thought, oh, that's probably going to be difficult to connect up.
It's going to force them to change because they'll have no choice. Either that or a big fine that they have to keep paying.
And I think that's the benefit of it, isn't it? It should push people to start using technology and automating things for that efficiency purpose.
I guess it also makes it easier for you to identify leads that you want to work with and not. So you can see who have got the really old systems and who are willing to change them as well.
Definitely.
I mean, want to just stick with it.
One of our requirements is working with Xero. So if you don't work with Xero, you either need to change or we can't be your accountants. And this is kind of an extension of that. It's going to be similar sort of process of looking at what else are you using around your bookkeeping software at the moment. And if you're not willing to change, then sorry, we can't service you.
It's like with our setup on Google Workspace. You've got to be with Google Workspace or you can't be a client. It just makes life so much more simpler for everybody.
Definitely. And if you've identified the best in the market, you want people to use it.
That's for sure. 100% for sure. So let's go on to your interview time, Chloe. So we've done all the news items. So you there? Well, first off, come on then. Let's hear about yourself and the backstory and history of you and setting up Lodestar.
Yeah, so as you said, I used to work for another firm that were clients or are clients of yours. And I'd always wanted to set up my own practice. It always just seemed like a distant memory, but distant dream, a bit too far off to reach in the future. But I had a young family and ultimately decided that fitting my work around my family and integrating the two aspects of my life is really where I wanted to be, and I wanted to be able to offer that to a team of people as well. James, you used the term work-life integration, I think, with me in the past, rather than balance, and that's always stuck with me about kind of connecting the two elements of your life. And ultimately, that was why Lodestar was born. I wanted to be able to do my job really well, but not at the expense of my family, which I think having a flexible business, it really enables you to do. So that's kind of how Lodestar was born, really. Me wanting the best of both worlds. Probably a little bit greedy.
It's gone well for you though, anyway, because I think it's only you and one other accounting firm that we look after that's fully remote. All the others have still got offices. Yeah,
so I set up on my own to start with, so it was just myself for a couple of years really, and so it was always going to be remote. I worked from my conservatory and my dining table and wherever else, the park, if I was at the park with the kids. And so when it came to the point of starting to grow the team and deciding that I needed to take on more people, I just thought, well, why am I going to limit myself to a geographical location by having an office space? Yeah. Why not be able to hire the best from the whole country and keep it remote? Because it works. Everything we use is cloud-based. Everything we collaborate with clients on is cloud-based. There's no requirement to be in a geographical location. And it was quite funny. I was speaking to an employment agency, a recruitment agency, just before lockdown, before COVID hit, before the pandemic, and I said, look, I really need to hire this qualified accountant, really like best of kind of the market. We're a remote practice. And they went, oh no, you'll really struggle. If you're a remote practice, you'll really struggle to hire someone really good. I was like, okay, well, I don't think that's the case, but if that's what you're telling me, then I'm going to believe you. But I found the person, we worked remotely, and then 3 months later this guy spoke to me again and he went, oh, you were in the right frame of mind, weren't you? Because everyone's working remotely now.
Really, you had the last laugh there.
I just thought, so it's fantastic. all being remote. Yeah,
I always find it odd, people who kind of business owners that diss remote working. And me and Carl have kind of got a theory about it, in that it's actually their ego, in that they like having an office and having people come in and they can say, oh, to their friends, yeah, we've got an office in the centre of Birmingham, and all these employees come in and stuff like that. And it's just an ego thing for the business owner, while all the employees themselves would prefer to work from anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's partly that and partly trust. I think a lot of employers don't trust their employees to work from home.
I do think that's changed a bit in COVID now, though, because they've had no choice, and now they've realised actually these people get on with their work and they're actually more efficient than they were before.
Yeah, and if they're not, then that's a reflection on the employee, and actually are they the right fit for your business if you don't trust them and they're not taking that responsibility.
I actually say if you've got people you don't trust, it's not a reflection on the employee, it's a reflection on your recruitment process, because why are you hiring people that you don't trust?
100%.
Something clearly going wrong there at the start.
Yeah.
Not to mention that if you're hiring locally, you've got maybe a 40-mile radius in which you can get people to work for you. Why would you do that when you can have the whole country?
Yeah.
It's a crazy thought, and it is most definitely, it's egocentrical. To some business owners, the only place in which they are king or queen is in their office.
Yeah.
Therefore, their ego says I have to have it, so therefore I can laud it and look important. When I don't know. I'm speaking from experience of other people I know that where they were king in one place only, and the rest of the world they were right at the bottom when they went home, and the work was the only place they were king. So that's why they did it.
So what excites you the most with your work at Lodestar, Chloe?
So I think one aspect is how it's constantly changing. The accountancy industry is going through a real rebirth at the moment. I think it has been for the last kind of 4 or 5 years. Technology has really changed the way accountants work, and that is really exciting. There's always something new coming on the market to help clients, basically. And the other side is working really closely with businesses to meet their goals and dreams, really. And that's partly why we want to offer this kind of virtual FD package that we mentioned earlier, because that's what is exciting. It's not the filing of statutory accounts, it's not the VAT return calculations, it's finding out that a client wants to own a warehouse or do something different or create a new product, and how can we go about making that a reality for them. It's really, really interesting and exciting working with different businesses on their goals.
I found it interesting what you say about at the start with the technology changing the accounting industry, because in the past you've always brought accountancy firms and legal firms together, like in the same sort of bucket. But legal firms just aren't, as far as I'm aware, they're doing nothing with technology. They're just as dated as they've always been, while the accountancy firms are just running away with technology, especially the younger modern ones. You've still got the old Sage-based accountancy firms, which are like, okay, you stick with Sage then. But all the younger ones are moving to the cloud, and like I said, legal firms are just nowhere.
Definitely, I've got a couple of friends that are in the legal industry, and they sell their soul basically for their salary, and it's madness. The amount of work they have to do, and the kind of just the ethos of the industry, like you say, is just stuck in the dark ages compared to accountancy.
Yeah, it is odd. I've been to see a solicitor a while back locally, and I asked them why everything was paper-based and why they were sending me letters. And the guy was just like, I'm not really interested in changing. I don't like computers. I don't really use it. I'm not interested in it, and I'm not going to use one. He was probably maybe a year or two older than I was at the time. And it's simply that. It's just, I think there was a level of arrogance in the law industry that says, what are you going to do? I know my business. I'm not changing for you. This is the law. I think there's a level of arrogance that comes with it. That's my personal take on it. And I said to the guy, okay, all right, don't send me any more letters, though. Just don't. I don't want them. Don't want letters. You need to email me if you want to do business with me. I wouldn't use them again because they wouldn't change. No, he said no. And I was halfway through the process. I said, okay, well, we'll finish this one off, but I don't think we'll work together anymore because I'm not having it. I'm the customer.
But it's just.
I was just going to say, it's got to be the next industry that changes. I feel like that's the next industry that's got to be disrupted, because it is just set in its ways.
I'm yet to, whenever we've seen an accounting firm, or I mean not accounting firm, a legal firm, we always check their email system to see if it's secure or not. None of them have got secure email systems. It's like you're a legal firm, and literally anyone can go in there and intercept your emails or send fake ones pretending to be from you.
Wow.
And they don't care. They really just do not care. And the problem is with the fake email things, that's all down to, I think, the fault of the banks. So typically what an attacker will do on a legal firm is they'll just sit there watching the emails come in and out, because at some point they're going to be involved in a property transaction. And at some point, if you're buying a house, you're going to have to make payment to the legal firm, and the legal firm is going to email you the bank account details to send the money to. And that's when the attacker will jump in, and he'll send the email to their bank account, the attacker's bank account, not the legal firm. And the problem here is that banks will basically protect you from stuff like that. Banks will cover your money. And so it's kind of free insurance for the legal firm. So they've got no reason to bother with their email system, because they know, oh, well, if we send out the wrong details anyway, their bank's going to protect them anyway. But what it should be is that actually the legal firm needs to protect them and have to pay the money.
Well, I actually had this yesterday. So you've just answered a question that I had yesterday. We're doing some legal, we've got some legal fees at the moment, and she emailed me the bank details and said, can you pay this amount to the bank account attached, but can you call the office first and just check them before you make payment to make sure they're right?
Even they know, I bet. Yeah. Even they know their email system's not secure, or they've been hacked in the past and they've not done anything about it, and they've gone, oh, what we'll do instead is now just get people to ask people to give us a call instead beforehand.
Yeah, make it harder for the clients.
It does. And that's also a way of them saying, oh, it's not our problem. Oh, sorry, you didn't call Chloe. That's your fault, not our fault. We're legally excluded from that. We checked. Yeah.
We don't care about your funds. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I love my rants on things. Majority believe the legal industry sees itself as above everybody else and has a God complex. And all it takes is some smart young woman or man to come into this industry and say, I'm having this, and turn it on its head, and it'll happen. It'll come. But I guess that industry has, the older you get, the more law you've seen, and therefore you become this knowledge. And when I went to court at one point, and I was a witness, I was not in the dock, and I saw the age of barristers and judges, I could kind of get the feel for it. The judge had everything on paper, because the judge was like over 70 years old. And I guess there's a lot of that going on in the legal industry, that everyone was used to paper. They're all old school. And the longer you've been around, the more you know. And there's an element of that going on in that industry. So there's no change coming from the top, because these people don't want to change, because they like a pen and a paper and a bit of stuff in their hand.
There are two women on LinkedIn that are young, and I'm following them because they're lawyers, and they seem to be doing stuff slightly differently. So the change might be starting.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if women have to do that, because of the inherent bias that's in the system against women. We had Women's Day recently. Therefore, women are pivoting more and thinking of new ways to approach stuff in order to overcome some of the stuff some of the boundaries that are there.
Mm.
So getting back on track after Carl's had his nice rant there, his fortnightly rant.
Well, it's when it is a good rant. I love a good rant.
It is a good rant. That was a good rant with good points in it. So a lot of people are focusing on the negatives of this pandemic. How has the pandemic helped Lodestar? What's the positives that you've got from it?
So I think for us, as I said earlier, about half of our clients are e-commerce businesses, and they've just thrived over lockdown. I know obviously one industry benefits, and the other, kind of your brick and mortar shops, are probably going to suffer for it. But I just think that the push to now online retail has really been a positive from it. I read a stat earlier that I put in the show notes, that the UK January online retail sales grew 74% year on year. So 21 versus 20, 74% increase in a year of online sales. And that's just madness to me. I know it's because the physical shops are shut, but I just think it's really accelerated the online shopping world. I think we mentioned before, didn't we, James, that you can buy on Amazon your Morrison's shop?
Yeah, now. You can do. Yeah.
Things like that. It's just things that probably
I'm pretty certain Amazon might acquire Morrison's in the future.
Do you think?
I bought some shares in Morrison's just to hedge my bet on
that.
Did you? Yeah. I think it's a while away, but they're really cheap shares at the moment, so might as well go for it. And you said awareness of finances, so you're finding people more aware of what's happening in their finances.
Clients have really had to take a hold of their finances, and that's part of the reason why we partnered with Reducer, because a lot of clients were thinking, how can I change my business to get more income? How can I create a new marketplace? How can I do a new product or sell something in a different way? But not many people were focusing on the costs. How can I cut my costs down? What can I pull back on? What can I maybe change? It was kind of more of a sales driven focus, but I just think generally clients are keeping an eye on their money and looking at their kind of financials more regularly than they would have done before. Things like cash flow forecasting people are doing, which lots of small business owners probably wouldn't have ever dreamt of doing in the past.
I wonder if it's also because they've got more time, so they've been able to sit inside sit on a computer and actually, it's like with Carl taking a deeper look into Xero and understanding all the reports and things that go in there when he's had questions for you, because you're sitting there, and as for other people, they're sitting there and they've got their computer open and they can now take the time to study it more and ask you more questions about this info.
Definitely.
Well, we had that new client accountancy company come on. So 4-user accountancy company, works in the music industry, primarily television, video, and the music industry. And they came to us with their current costings, and we looked at it and went, you know what, we're going to save you over 50%, and you're going to get the better service and everything else. I mean, it was a no-brainer from the cost point, but the amount of money they were spending, and we were just like, unnecessary, not needed. It was crazy. So yeah, people do. And I think that customer had taken a look at their costs and then asked somebody else, what do you think we should do? And we had a referral come through. And I reckon that's probably how it happened. They were like, I don't like this number I'm paying every month. I don't think I'm getting any value here. Don't know what it is I'm paying for.
And a lot of the time people don't have visibility over what they are spending, because they're maybe not doing real-time bookkeeping. They're doing maybe monthly or quarterly bookkeeping, and by the time they've got that quarter done for the VAT return, because it's a real rush because they're not doing it every day, they haven't got time to look at what does that quarter actually show me, or what does that month actually show me? Am I overspending on certain things? So I think, it's really, like you said, time has probably helped clients.
That's one of the biggest changes I've noticed since we moved from our old accountancy over to Lodestar, was that the reconciling and stuff like that, because they previously it was like monthly, but now it's almost instantaneously. So there's like only a few things that need reconciling each time, and that just makes it so much easier to see the data and have up-to-date data. Yeah,
I think cloud bookkeeping software is pointless if you're not going to use it on a real-time basis. You're not actually using it.
Right, absolutely. And one of the things that can probably catch people out is as you get bigger and you gain some employees, is things like cash flow forecasting and VAT quarter returns. And suddenly you can find yourself going, VAT's due. It's a big number. It's over 20K, it's 25K, and I haven't got the money. I don't know what I can't pay my VAT bill, and you can't pay your VAT bill, you're insolvent. Boom. Done. You're toast pretty fast. And it's amazing how that stuff catches up on people because they haven't started doing it early. You need to start knowing those numbers now, and then when you get bigger, you'll be ready for it because it'll just catch you on the hop.
Yeah, like we like to put the VAT liability as a code on the watch list on the dashboard in Xero, so that clients can look. I mean, I tell clients that for Lodestar, I have a separate savings account, and I always check my VAT, my corporation tax estimates that I've got in Xero, and make sure I've got enough put to one side just for peace of mind, because I never ever want to get to the position where I'm scrabbling around trying to find money to pay tax bills. It's always good to have that visibility throughout the year.
We use a pot, don't we, James? Do we use a pot for that?
No, we used to. Was it last year when we moved to Starling Bank from Monzo? Yeah. But anyway, Monzo had a really cool feature where Monzo would any money that you spend out, it would come in. It would put 20% into its own separate account.
That's good.
To separate out. It's not like fully exact, but it's pretty decent. Starling doesn't do that, so no, we don't have that at the moment. But Monzo, when you paid us, Chloe, for our support, 20% of that would have been stuck into a VAT pot in the Monzo account. But sadly, Starling doesn't have that. So
I wonder if I personally use Plum. Have you heard of Plum? Just similar. So it links into your bank account and it looks at what you're spending, and you can kind of set different rules. So if you spend something ending in like 96p, it will take the 4p and move it into a separate pot for you to round it up to the next pound. So it kind of does all those sorts of things, and then you can set savings goals and have different pots for personal use. wonder if they'll do something similar for businesses, maybe.
They have got pots in Starling, and they have got them I've got my personal bank account as well with Starling, and they do the same thing with the rounding up and putting it in. And they do have, I think it's called Spaces in Starling, but it doesn't really seem to be that automated or anything like that. So I've not really bothered with them. It's one thing that Monzo did really well with its automations and stuff like that for business. Starling just hasn't got that yet.
There you go. Nice little advert for them. Tell them to develop that feature.
Yeah, for sure. I think they use Google Workspace, so that's okay. So I forgive them on that because they're using good software. Talking about software, what's the best bit of technology that you and your business couldn't live without?
So I've gone boring on the phone side of things. So my mobile phone I could not live without, because I think it just gives me that freedom to integrate, like we said, the work and the life side of things. So if I'm going to pick the kids up from school, I've got my phone. If anything goes wrong, if the team need me, they can get hold of me. And that's just a real benefit. Or clients, if they need to get hold of me, or if I need to check an email or log into something, it can all be done from the palm of my hand. On the flip side, like you were saying earlier, it's hard to then switch off. So it's good to hear that they've got this new feature for Androids where you can kind of flick your work one off.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're Google Workspace, if you go into settings and accounts, you should be able to add your Google Workspace account as a work profile. I'm not sure if you have to remove the existing one and then re-add it, or you can, if there's an option to flip. It just depends on the version of Android you're running and what manufacturer of Android as well.
I'll have to have a little look at that, because it's always good to have that downtime, isn't it, as well, where you can't be contacted. Yeah, that's a big one for me, and kind of the Google Calendar as well. I think I've kind of touched on this before with you guys. It's for work and life. Everything goes into it.
Yeah.
Like non-uniform days, PE days for school, home stuff, and all my work stuff goes into the Google Calendar, because otherwise my brain would probably explode with everything you have to remember nowadays.
Yeah, really useful to Google Calendar, as we do the same, and we put as much stuff as we can into it, just so you know. But also because the booking form on our website, when you book a video call, it runs from that Google Calendar. So if it sees that we've already got something booked into our calendar, it won't show that as a time slot to book a video call with us on the website.
Oh, that's good.
So links in that way. And I see you've got Centre as well. I guess that's the technology for your business.
Yeah, so it's practice management software. Centre is that, again, just helps me free my brain up for everything else to focus on. And it makes me more efficient, because I'm not thinking about everything that I need to do, because it's all stored within Centre. I can then just take one thing at a time, focus on that, work on that, and then move on to the next thing. Again, it's just about organisation, isn't it? I don't like sleepless nights, so I like to have everything organised, so I'm not thinking, oh, have I forgotten to do something, or missed something.
And I assume Centre integrates with Google Calendar and Gmail and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it integrates with Google. Calendar I need to look at, because I haven't got that integrated at the moment, but it integrates with Gmail, pulls all the emails through and puts them into the right clients based on the email addresses that we've got saved under that client. So that's really handy. And from a team perspective as well, the team can see my emails that are going to and from clients, so it's really handy.
Has that been acquired by Iris?
Centre, yes, I think so.
Oh, that's going to go down the toilet then.
Well, that's what everyone says, James. But I reckon it might be Irish going the other direction. I reckon that might be them. Instead of trying to redevelop what they've got into cloud, they've just bought one instead, and they'll push it that direction.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
Iris is another one.
I think so.
That was another one that wasn't very well received within the accountancy industry.
Yeah, I saw a few people posting, "Oh, I'm getting rid of Centre immediately," and I was like, "Easy now." I
know, I thought that, but I don't know what I'd do. I think it would take me a long time to transition to another practice management software. But I don't think very many people were happy about that change.
I thought that was a little strange, because I looked at Centre, because we have several clients who use it, and I saw they're a British-based company. I think they're out of Bristol. And my mind was, this is so good. What if they went out of business? You know, that would be my main worry. This is great software, but they're only a small company. So actually having them owned by someone like Irish makes sense. because now you've got some corporate finance behind them. They're not going to go bump on you, which I think really when you're using a SaaS solution, you do want the provider of that SaaS solution to have a bit of financial clout behind them for rough times. You don't want this small company making a wicked bit of software and then they go out of business and it doesn't belong to anyone. So I don't think that's a bad move for that app.
No, I wasn't overly concerned about it, but I've not had a horrific experience with Iris in the past, which it sounded like a lot of people had.
I think Iris is definitely uncool in the industry. I mean, we had to use it as end users with our previous accountant, and James hated it. It wasn't a lot of fun. I think the accountant liked it, to be honest. I think it did what accountants wanted to do, but it was pretty ugly. It was old school.
I refused to log into it in the end.
Yeah,
Kyle had to do all that.
He did.
It drove me mad, that thing. It's where you get an email. You get an email come through with a link saying, "Oh, it'd say these documents have been uploaded," and it has the name of the document and a link on it. So you click on the link, thinking, "Oh, okay, it's going to take me straight to the document." But no, it takes you to the home folder, and then you've got to go navigate down to find this bloody document. I wasn't doing that, so I just refused to use it. It's actually one of the main reasons we left as well, because they just weren't updating their technology. And it was just so inefficient the way they were doing it. Not sending emails, they wouldn't write the email into an email. They'd attach the message to a PDF, put the PDF in an email, and then email the PDF over. So, just type it in the email in the first place. It would have been easier.
That's crazy.
But anyway, we'll move on to some more fun stuff now. So what's your favourite item of technology ever?
So when I read this, I kind of went through the parent side of things, and that for me is Kindle Fire, which makes me sound like a really bad parent. But my kids love their tech, so yeah, Kindle Fire they absolutely adore, and it frees me up, especially when homeschooling was a thing.
Has Kindle Fire got Netflix and stuff like that, or is it just Amazon Prime?
Yeah, it's basically a tablet.
Any app that you've got, James, you can put on it. So any audio book I've got can go on, because I have the kids' monthly one.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about the Kindle Fire dongle that you plug into the TV, not the tablet.
Oh, sorry. No, the tablet, I mean, my kids were coming home and going, "Oh, can we have an iPad?" And I thought, no, they're 400 quid and the rest, however much. The Kindles are great, aren't they? They're like 100 quid or something like that. And
yeah, we got one, and we got the pink padding foam around it as well.
Yeah.
So they're
the best, in my opinion. There's a parent's control now that you can set limits and times on it from the web, and your phone, when they're not messing around, just turn it off on them. And it's the only one in which I've never been able to get any content that's inappropriate. I can't break it. It really does work properly. You can leave your kids with it and feel safe. It's the only one, I reckon, that does that. Yeah, impressive bit of kit that is from Amazon.
Yeah. And for us, it was a lifesaver during homeschooling, because the kids could do all their homeschooling stuff on there as well, which I think Amazon missed a trick there. They should have offered some to schools for free. Bit of promotional.
And you've got a record player.
Yeah, so when I was thinking tech, I was thinking modern tech. And then I was like, well, you've put best technology ever. And I love records. I think they've come back round, haven't they? There's a massive resurgence now.
Yeah, I don't get this at all. I don't understand why anyone wants to listen to a record that's crackling, might sometimes skip and all that, when you could listen to the perfect audio the way the artist intended. They didn't intend it to crackle and pop and all that nonsense. So I just don't get this.
It's the experience for me. It's not just about the sound. It's like finding a record, finding a vinyl, thinking about who else might have listened to that vinyl if it's a second-hand vinyl. I love that kind of history with it. And I don't know.
Something I can't do.
No.
What about you, Carl? Are you a vinyl person, Carl?
No, not at all. I never was. When vinyl was a thing, my ex-flatmate used to have like £800 turntable and optimal listening distance seats from just give me the tunes, just like I listen to. I'm not bothered. I don't have 4K eyes and I don't have quality ears. I know people like the aesthetic. They like the album cover and holding it. I'm not sure if I want to know if my previous record's been owned by, I don't know, a prison convict or a president. I don't know if that bothers me or not. I'm not interested. But
so have you got a big collection then of vinyl, Chloe?
Growing collection. We've been handed down some from parents, which we're quite lucky about, which is quite nice. And I think that's, again, it's kind of that history side of things. And I do listen to stuff on, we've got Amazon Music, we've got kind of your Bose speaker that you can connect up through Bluetooth. So we do listen to it that way as well for ease, because you've got everything at the touch of your kind of finger then. But I don't know, there's something about deciding to just sit and put a vinyl on and listen to a full album from start to finish, rather than like a playlist or a single here and a single there, that I really like.
It just doesn't. It just doesn't work for me.
It might be a childhood thing for me as well, because my parents always had vinyl and record players. So I don't know if it's that reminiscent thing.
My dad had a big collection of them and played them, but that was because that was how you bought music back then.
Yeah.
As soon as CDs came out, then he was onto CDs rather than vinyls. But
so that was an odd one.
And your next one's a Rocketbook, which you showed us actually a few weeks ago on a video call we had. So tell everyone about it. Tell people what it is.
This was my geeky Christmas present to myself, which I got ribbed by my husband about. He was like, I can't believe you're buying yourself a notebook for £50. But I would say it's well worth it. So I quite like eco things, and part of my bugbear is taking notes on paper. So I'd looked at, I think there's one called Remarkable, which is like a paper style pad that you can use to write on. They're about 400 quid as well, I think, or in the hundreds. And then I saw someone post on LinkedIn, I can't remember who it was actually, and they'd said something about their Rocketbook. So I looked at it and I thought, you know what, that's a great idea. So you can use a specific type of pen on it, write your notes. You can then use an app to photograph that page, and it's got a little QR code in the corner, and you can set up automatic filing. So if you've put a certain mark at the bottom, then it'll go to a particular folder in Google Drive. So we've kind of got one for prospective clients, one for existing clients, that sort of thing. And then you can just wipe the page clean with water and use it again over and over. And it just does the job that it needs to do.
It has interested me, and I thought about it, but I thought, no, I can't be doing that, because even though it is modern, I'm still thinking, I'm going going back using my hand to write things when I should be using a keyboard or voice.
I know that, and I am quite good at taking notes on a computer, but sometimes I just need to draw things out, or I need to do something that I'm much quicker at doing with a pen and paper than I am on a computer, and that's where it really fits in for me.
Yeah, I understand that totally, because especially if you're like on a phone call, and all of a sudden, you've got to write something down because I've just said something. It's like, it's easy. Pen and paper is by far your Rocketbook is by far the quickest way of doing that.
Yeah, and it just sits next to me all day, sits on the side. So if I need it, it's there, and I can just quickly scribble something down. Like, so I have really, really liked that. That's kind of my more recent bit of tech that I've enjoyed.
So you're going to be rolling out to the rest of the team?
I think so, actually. I think I am. Because, again, it's habit, isn't it, having a pen and paper and using notepads. I think I'll roll that out to everyone.
I imagine quite a few of your clients, do a lot of them contact you via the phone? I think you mentioned actually you don't get too many calls, but I guess you do sometimes get them on the phone.
No, but we do a lot of Meet video calls. So even though we don't necessarily do lots of voice calls, we do quite a lot of video calls like this with clients, and the team are kind of doing that more often now as well. So again, it's just handy to have something there that you can just jot everything down from.
You also record the video calls, I guess, too.
Yeah, some video calls we do, not all of them, but some of them we do. And
then we've got your heroes and famous people that admire and inspire you. Go on, who are these surprises?
I found this really hard.
Well, look, have you had training from Lauren and Jordan yet? There are Google Workspace trainers, but anyway, who's were theirs? One was Joe Wicks, and the other one was, I forgot who the other one was. Carl, do you remember? It was like a complete surprise who their heroes were. So it can be absolutely anybody. So just pick whoever you like.
I struggled with famous people.
Doesn't have to be famous.
Or well known. For me, it's I get inspiration from, this is going to sound really cheesy, but from client calls and seeing clients' energy about their business and enthusiasm for what they like to do. That kind of then inspires me to go off and do stuff with Lodestar. I think that is where most of my inspiration comes from. I like I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Sophie Amoruso, I think her name is.
I don't know her.
She made Nasty Gal, the clothes website, and there's a Netflix series about her called Girl Boss, and she does a podcast, and that is kind of a rags to riches. She had no idea what she was doing with her life and then built a massive business out of it. But I follow her on Instagram, and she seems really down to earth, even though she's kind of built a massively successful business.
Did that brand get acquired recently by Boohoo? Nasty Girl.
I don't know, actually.
I know they acquired some brands recently, so I don't know. Oh, okay,
yeah,
maybe that's
very
where I've got it
similar.
from.
Yeah, very similar. But she sold out a long time. It started on eBay, so she started buying vintage clothes, selling them on eBay. That's how it all started,
and like rebranding them.
Yeah, and then it all just developed. And I got into it because I started watching Girl Boss on Netflix, and then partway through it, you realise who she is. And I was like, I've used that app before. I've shopped on that website before. And yeah, that was quite inspiring. But I think generally for me, it is just the day-to-day calls with clients and things that really drive me.
That's cool. It's good inspiration from those.
Yeah.
So how would they inspire you if we dropped you on a desert island? What technology what 3 bits of technology would you take with you?
I've put nothing for survival here. It's all for entertainment purposes.
Well, you haven't got any internet access, so hopefully it's good stuff that can play it locally.
Okay, hopefully. I don't know then. Maybe not. I've gone for Nintendo Switch.
That'll be okay, I think, as long as you've got some games that
don't
require any internet connection. Yeah. Or take a Game Boy.
Yeah, true. I went for Switch because our kids have got one and it's great. I think you've got the best of both worlds. You've got the handset and you've got the TV side, haven't you? Which is fab. Yeah, so that's my first bit of entertainment. Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Kindle Paperwhite for all my books. But again, if you've just said no internet, I'm going to struggle to download stuff.
Yeah, well, unlucky on that one.
I've got a couple of things saved on there.
You'll be okay with your other selection though, music, because you've got your LPs to take along with you.
Yeah. Just a few hundred suitcases full of vinyl.
Yeah, to listen while you listen until the end of time.
Yeah, no, that's some form of music.
And what was the rules about power? Were they allowed? They don't have power on the island, did they, Carl? I can't remember what the rules on power.
I think we've got to assume there is some power. Otherwise,
otherwise you're going to have to spin the record with your finger.
I was going to say maybe I need to take
per minute.
Maybe I need to take a solar powered generator or something.
Yeah, it's a good selection of stuff there. And finally, we'll move on to our recommendations. So I've got one here which is on Prime Video, and it's called Escape from Pretoria. So it's a true story. It's basically about it's based in South Africa during the apartheid, and there was a group of white guys who worked with Mandela and ANC, which I think was his party. He was already locked away, Mandela was, but they were doing leaflet bombing around South Africa. So they'd plant bombs that would fire leaflets into the air and go everywhere. And they got sentenced to 2 of them got sentenced to prison for 12 years and 8 years. And they didn't really get sentenced for the fact of the bombs. It was more to do with the leaflets that they were spreading. The leaflets were about getting rid of apartheid and all that kind of stuff. And they got sent to prison for it. But they escaped. And they escaped because they were able to manufacture wooden keys to unlock all the doors in the prison to escape and get out that way.
Oh, wow.
It's a completely true story as well. Even one of the people who escaped has a cameo in the movie as well. But yeah, it's quite good. It's the guy. Oh, what's the guy's actor? Is the main actor from Harry Potter? What's his name now?
Daniel.
Yeah.
Radcliffe.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe. He's the main actor in it. But it's a full true story, and it's pretty good. It's on Amazon Prime. It's free if you've got Prime membership to watch on Prime Video. Recommend it. It's a really good film.
Oh, definitely give that a watch. I love a true story.
Yeah, that's my favourite genre of movies, true story ones. It's just better. And we've got someone's Own the Room from Disney Plus. Is that you,
That was
Chloe?
me. Yeah, that was my Mother's Day watch with my daughter Millie. We went, oh, well, let's watch something on Disney Plus, and then had a look through, and I was like, oh, this looks good. And at first she was a bit like, oh, Mum, do we have to watch that because it's to do with business and entrepreneurs? But she really got into it. It basically is about a competition that ends up being an international competition for student entrepreneurs that want funding for their business ideas.
Okay.
And it follows 5 people from different countries that get to the international awards in China.
So it's a real documentary style film.
Yeah, documentary. It follows 5 individuals that have got business ideas and need some financial backing. And it kind of goes through the different rounds and the trials and tribulations of that, and then comes out with kind of the winner. Yeah, it's really interesting, and some of the ideas that they'd got were fascinating.
I'm just looking at it now. I've just done a quick Google search on it, and it's pretty new as well, isn't it? The whole series as well.
Yeah, it's really
cool
interesting.
Recommendation. Have you got anything, Kyle, to round up with?
I've been watching Unsolved on Netflix, which is the dramatization of the solving of Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur's murder. That's been quite good. I've watched that, and I've also watched the final of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, which I know James would definitely not be watching, but that was quite good.
I've got no idea what it is or what it contains.
I wouldn't recommend RuPaul's Drag Race for you, James. I just don't think it's your kind of show.
Okay, I'll give that a miss then. But it seems like you two are big fans anyway.
That's good.
But yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining, Chloe.
No problem. It's been great. Thanks for having me.
What's the best place for people to go if they want to find out more about you or get in contact?
Yeah, we've got the website, lodestaraccounting.co.uk, or Instagram. As we said earlier, we're on there. So yeah, get in touch if anyone needs help with anything Xero related or accountancy.
And you're directly on LinkedIn as well. They could find you and contact you that way.
Direct. And Lodestar's on there. We just haven't done many posts.
Yeah, but just get to Chloe's profile on LinkedIn to find out more as well, to contact Chloe directly. Yeah. But likewise, Instagram and the website. But that's it. Yeah, that's it for this fortnight. And once again, thanks for joining us, Chloe. Thanks for joining, Kyle. I hope you had fun. I could see he was doing a lot of tech support actually in the background. He was typing away, and I saw the messages popping up on my screen, and he's not been having a fun time.
I have had to do some of that. Yeah, sometimes that just happens, and it's been a bit busy, but it's all right.
There we go. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. So don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
See you later.